Hello, it's Ivaldi Sako. Welcome to the show. Today, we'll talk about whatever you saw in the title of this podcast, of course, and more precisely, about David Goggins and this book. Never Finished. Great book, and I'm going to be talking to you more precisely about the 23 or so life-changing lessons I got from his book. I took some notes on the most important, impactful, and most useful things for me, and it will be very useful, at least, for the people like me, entrepreneurs or people that want to be more disciplined, achieve more things, become a better version of themselves, and improve their lives. Like really, become a really strong person. This is who this is for. And if you like any of that, that's basically all I talk about on this podcast, as well as business. So if any of that interests you, I suggest you don't waste time and just click subscribe right now to not forget and miss the next episodes, because you'll get a lot of value from this podcast. Also, if you don't know me, my name is Ivaldi Sako. I'm an entrepreneur on a mission to inspire, motivate, and educate the world. That's beautiful. But more precisely here on this podcast, I want to help you become truly free and successful, because I believe it's our right to be truly free and our duty to be successful, to have great lives, inspire others to have great lives as well, and just live the best possible life. Why not, right? So if any of that appeals to you, just subscribe and join us. And here we have a fee for this show. You share this show. If you got some value out of this show, you share it with 10 friends, right? No, just one. If you just shared it with one person, I'll be glad that you did that for me, for this podcast, for them, so that it helps them as well. And this is our fee. If you get some value, you share it. If you don't get any value of this, just don't share it, right? So let's get into it. I won't waste time. These are my notes. I'm going to read you through them. I'm going to tell you about what I thought about. This is basically what I do on this podcast as well. I read books, and this book I actually devoured pretty quickly. Like in 1 week, 300 pages, for me, it's like a lot. I'm a really slow reader, but I got these 300 pages in a week, and it was great. I don't know if I prefer this one to Can't Hurt Me, his first book, but I think it was like at least as good, if not better, honestly. I kind of have some kind of allergy right now. If I sneeze, sorry. I'll try to not hurt your ears. Let's get into it. Chapter 1. These are the notes I took actually, and I'm going to tell you the lessons I learned from them, so you can use them and maybe try to think during this episode about how you can implement this in your life. How does this apply to my life, right? If you actually go through this podcast this way, it will actually serve you. Now, I know this podcast is a podcast with no edits, at least as I know of right now. I don't know, maybe in the future I'll change things up. But it's not a fast-paced video, with giving you a lot of dopamine. So it's going to get boring, maybe, but it's your choice. It's not as entertaining as a short video that you can watch, and you get my point, right? You either want to be entertained and distracted, or you want to be learning new things to improve your life. Make your choice and stick to it. Let's go. So chapter 1, maximize minimal potential. David Goggins has been born in very bad circumstances. Nothing could tell anyone that he could have a great life, and he's got a great life. If you don't know David Goggins, I don't know why you clicked on this video. This is why I didn't introduce him. So if you don't know him, he's a great Navy SEAL, a lot of things. Like if you want me to a retired Navy SEAL, of a lot of different army schools and Air Force author, world record of pull-ups. He's got a world record. He's like an insane tough man, right? Anyway, you know about this because you're on this podcast, because you clicked on this. In chapter 1, he tells you to maximize your minimal potential. So whatever circumstances you're in, he tells you, like, this is like what you have to deal with, right? These are the circumstances. Do the maximum for them, right? That's the goal. You must. I'm going to tell you, you must, you should, right? This is like, I'm talking to myself basically, right? And, I'm not going to say you ought to do this. Every time, sometimes I found like some struggle to speak in English because this is not my native language, and use the precise right words, right? So, still bear with me. I wrote those things down. So I'm going to read through the notes like this. What have I been preoccupied by that is a distracting injury? Because that is maybe what is preventing me from moving forward. In the book, I think it's chapter 1 or 2, he tells you about the ABCs. So, what are my distracting injuries that I should stop focusing on? This is what I ask myself, because there's an ABC. What is the ABC I must switch my focus to that will slingshot me forward? In hospitals, when they get people that have injuries, they try to see for the ABC. These are the most important things that could actually end someone's life, right? And sometimes there are distracting injuries, like a broken leg. A broken leg is very visible, but sometimes if your liver is dying, like you don't know because it's not visible, but you need to check for those vital things, right? And a broken leg is like not cool, but it's not going to kill you. So this is what you like need to think in your life. What is the distracting injury in my life, right? What is, like, I feel like this is a big problem, but maybe it's not that big of a problem. Very, very useful question that I asked myself this time. Take responsibility for whatever happened to you, whatever problem you have. So this is a reminder. Understand that people that wronged you, to relieve you from that anger. So you should not stay angry on people because it just like prevents you from moving forward. If you understand them and understand where they come from, your anger just like release. Like you just are not angry anymore. You don't hold that anymore. You must forgive them and forgive yourself to start moving forward and stop telling yourself the same story that keeps you where you are. Merry freaking Christmas. He didn't say freaking. He says the other word, but I'm not going to swear on here. It's a surprise that life has for you whenever you start feeling comfortable. You start enjoying some success. A surprise at this time will come knocking you out of that comfortable situation and putting chaos into your life. So never let your guard down. Whenever you feel like, okay, I'm doing well, nothing can happen to me, I'm invincible, boom, something happens to you because you get cocky. Stay on your guard. So never let your guard down. Always be ready to face anything. Evolution number 2. So the book is composed like of chapters, and at the end of the chapter there's an evolution. I think he makes this reference to the military. It's evolutions that they go through, right? And so here's the evolution number 2. Don't waste anything. Use everything. Record your self-talk. For example, when you wake up in the morning and you don't want to go to the gym, you don't want to do something, you feel like you don't want to do it, but you decided that you will do it. Record your self-talk. Record what you tell yourself. Record the excuses that you make. And when you record them and then listen back to them, you kind of see it's out there. It's like, are you seriously talking like this? Like you just, it's embarrassing how I speak, right? It's embarrassing. What am I listening to? Am I a little boy that's just like has no accountability to himself? Come on, right? And you start like putting your thoughts. You externalize your thoughts, and so it it allows you to be able to see the BS that you just tell yourself. Also record your past traumas, the things that you're not comfortable with. Maybe something happened to you when you were a kid and you're not comfortable talking about this. Record it, talk about it on your phone. Record it, listen back to it. It will get you used to it, and you'll be comfortable with that in a very short amount of time. Record yourself your self-talk toward anything that makes you afraid or made you afraid or damaged you, and listen to it on repeat. Become comfortable with it until it doesn't do you anything. You turn that into fuel, and you can turn also the negative comments of people into fuel. People that doubted you, record their comments and how they made you feel, and listen to that, and make this fire you up and make you want to level up. If you are constantly seeing, okay, these people doubt me, I'm going to prove them wrong, right? And you listen to that, and every time you listen to it, it fires you up. It gets you a little I'm going to prove those people wrong. You must recreate yourself. David Goggins created Goggins. It's another character, right? And he created it in his mental lab. You too must turn yourself into a savage. Something that doesn't comply by the rules, that gets limited by people's restrictions of reality, people's perception of what is and is not possible. Turn yourself into a savage, and not let yourself, your money, your accomplishment or praises make you soft, make you feel satisfied. Instead, you remain a savage. Keep yourself striving for more. Always push yourself beyond what you're capable of, to give yourself the proof that you can do more than what you previously thought yourself capable of. It's very useful to have this proof that you are indeed a savage when you forgot about it, or when you have turned soft because of life events or your accomplishments. Don't turn soft. Keep being a savage. Remind yourself of your wins and your ability to become more than you are. When training, remain extremely focused to remember the moment where you made a mistake and visualize exactly where and how it happens to not do it again next time. Tune out everything else that doesn't help you in your training. All messages, all other gigs, turn down the money that distracts you, because sometimes you're getting paid to do something, but this is not really your main thing, and it distracts you from your main work and the essential work that you're doing. You must be training in full focus to accomplish the goal, and most importantly, to become and remain a savage. Pro athletes don't train at home with their family and friends. They go in the mountains alone. When it's time to train, isolate yourself. Change your environment to zone in and be fully immersed in the training. No possible distractions. And again, remember your wins to remind yourself that you can do better, right? Because sometimes you're going to fail. You're going to feel, oh my God, I forgot I could become more. Don't forget. The memory is very fallible. Just having reminders is so useful. Now, on the point that I told you, when training, remain extremely focused to remember the moment where you failed. He's always constantly extremely focused when he runs. He runs a lot of marathons, right? And very long ones. And he's focused so much that he can tell exactly at what point he made a little mistake. He was not totally focused. His mind was wandering at this point. He had this kind of thoughts at this time. Be so focused that you can do this analysis to be able to, take the mistakes that you did and not do them anymore. Learn the lessons and change your behavior, right? On the chapter 6, it's called The Art of Getting Hit in the Mouth. The pursuit of your goals is always harder than you expect it to be. And this is something that I find very funny, that every time you start something, you feel like it's easier than it is, actually. You want to build a great business. You have this goal that you have. You feel like it's much more easy than it actually is, because you don't know, first of all, but also I think it's a natural instinct to feel like it's easier, at least for me, to feel like this is kind of easy to do, because if it is easy to do, it's a smaller commitment, and you feel like you're capable of achieving it, and so you actually start. And once you start, well, you get some momentum. It's much easier to continue and feel like you could be actually capable of achieving the goal, even though it requires much more than you thought previously. When you get knocked down, get sick, or injured, most people in those situations always stay down for way too long, and even want some pity for trying to get up. Don't be those people. The second you feel better, get up and get back to work, right? I did that before, like when I had my wisdom tooth took out, like, right? I had surgery, and no, actually, at this time it was not the case. But sometimes you're sick, and you just, like, you're actually better in 2 days, but you feel like you should be in bed for 4. So you are in bed for 4, but like for 2 days you could be working. Or sometimes you're just a little sick and you feel like you can't work, but you actually can. Like, it just doesn't prevent you from working. It's just like you feel a little bit bad. That's it. So just don't try to worsen your conditions, right? Use the shallow end of a pool to train like you were in the deep end as mental preparation. Train your mind as if you're already there in the deep end, or what is for him, David Goggins, the deep end of the pool is like something like he's scared of going in the deep end, right? It's a situation that scares you, that makes you uncomfortable. Train your mind as if you're already in that situation. If you get tired while swimming laps in the shallow end, the option of standing up in the middle of the lane, don't give yourself the option of standing up in the middle of the lane. So the conditions are actually similar to the, deep end. If in the bad situation you don't have the option that you have right now in the easy situation, don't give yourself this option to actually mimic the hard circumstances, so that you can actually, this is what he said, your only resting point should be the gunnel at the end, the other end of the pool. That way you will get to the 10th foot. You will get to the end of the pool, and you know from that experience that you can make the distance. You know from experience that if you actually have achieved one thing in this situation that is very similar to, or exactly the same, even better, that the situation, forgive me, that you fear, you will be comfortable doing it actually in those circumstances. So this is in the mind. You need to visualize like you were in the bad situation. If you can do it in those circumstances, you will most likely do it in the actual, like, real life circumstances. It's a mental preparation. It's visualizing. Even when you feel stiff and don't feel like doing it, just get started and do it anyway. This is what I told you about the small commitment. If you just do it anyway, just a little bit at least, you'll start getting some momentum and everything will go forward from there. We have information at our fingertips. If you're going to fail, make sure it's not because of you. Prepare, plan, do everything in your power to win. So if you happen to fail, it was God preventing you from achieving that goal. It was the universe. It was not in your power to actually fail, to actually succeed, because you've put in every bit of work that was in your power to do it. Be prepared. If you're feeling happy about yourself, raise your situational awareness, SA, because tides are about to turn. And there are 3 crucial requirements for a high SA, high situational awareness. 1, astute perception. You must see the environment clearly. That means knowing where you are on the map and having a good idea where the pitfalls might lie. Sometimes it can be a member of your team. that is a pitfall. You can trust, you think you can trust him, but at the end you can't really, and because there was a pitfall, right? He didn't do his job properly. He couldn't do that because in David Goggins' book, he tells you about he was running, and at one point he was running completely opposite to the side of completing the marathon, and it was because he didn't check on his phone. He trusted his friend to do this work, and he didn't do it. And you know what he did at that point when he realized it was like, I don't know, 10 miles completely off road, or maybe even more. I think it was like even 50, 60 miles. Like, it was bad, and he was injured, and he was very tired. It was 36 hours in the marathon, and his friend made this mistake. David Goggins, when he realized this, when his friend told him, we're on the wrong road right now, he just went back running the other way around. He didn't stop. He didn't say, why did you do this? He took responsibility because he knew, I didn't check that. I had, at one point, I had some kind of intuitive, I had some kind of doubts, but I didn't check it. He took this responsibility, he ran the other way around, no waste of time or energy. What he's gonna do about it? The mistake is already done, so he took responsibility, he ran the other way around immediately, right? Then, second thing for a high situational awareness, a 360-degree comprehension of the current situation. You must understand the entire picture and take the time to investigate blind spots, areas you might not otherwise see because of exhaustion or low light, and have also a plan to compensate for any limitations you identify. Number 3 is projection. Based on your perception and comprehension, what will your future status be? You can't make decisions solely based on the present. You must make also your choices like a chess master and think, okay, what's going to happen? So therefore, if this is the future situation, I will have to do this, right? Small minds and weak people kill big dreams. Don't have the wrong people around you. They could suck the life out of you. Make sure they accept. This is important. They accept who you are and who you are becoming. This is even more important. Who you are becoming. They must accept that, because if they're not accepting that, they're going to prevent you from going there. And you better run alone than with dead weight on. Chapter 7, the reckoning. When in pain or when you're down, smile and say, Roger that. This is a saying in the military. It says I understood. I'm going to take action on that. And he smiles with the intention of finding a solution, and make this an automation. Roger that. I'm going to find a solution and I'm going to act on it, right? Another automation you need to put in place is never finish a bad day in the negative. Always do push-ups, read, do something to end on a positive note, to make the day neutral and not negative. Because if you let the day end on a negative note, it will have momentum on the next day. And the next day is much more likely to become negative, and you can get into a negative spiral. You can end it right now if you just do something before the end of the day, before you go to sleep. Do something positive to end on a high note. When you face your fears, go on the attack and do that immediately. Don't wait, because the more you wait, the longer you wait, and the longer you wait, the bigger the risk of inaction. And the longer you wait, the bigger the fear gets. So don't wait. When you are afraid, attack it immediately. Use competition to bring the dog inside of you to want to attack and do things that most won't. So, okay, I think he can beat me. No. Come on. We're going to see who can beat the other one, right? It's competition brings, it's a natural instinct to become better, right? You need to develop that and believe that you can actually become better and actually beat the other one, right? If you don't believe that you can beat the other one, you're not going to have this sense of competition. Set audacious goals no matter the circumstance. Even if you think you can't do it, You'll figure it out. Set audacious goals. See the worst case scenario. Envision it to eliminate fear of failure. If this is the worst case scenario, if the worst case is that I happen to be in the hospital for this insane marathon and become one of the toughest men alive, it's worth it. I can handle that, right? I've already been there. I've already had worse situation. So I'll go through it. So if you are okay with the worst case, then everything from there is a positive. And because it's a positive, you're going to push through, right? You're going to do it. Use laughter during pain and failure as a tool to get your endorphins and push past the pain. At one point, he's completely messed up, and his doctor is fixing him, and the pain is so insane. Instead of using sympathy from his friend, he uses humor. He starts insulting his doctor, and he starts insulting them as well, his crew as well, and it's kind of like they just die laughing, right? He just insult them knowing he's in pain, and it's just a funny situation, and makes him increase their morale. They feel better, and they actually, it gets you more energy, and this is the endorphins. And not only does it distract you a bit, it allows you to go through the pain with laughter, oh my God. And I think I'm going to read to you a passage from this. I think it was chapter 7. Because it was very, very good. So yeah, this was the point. So wait, is it chapter 7? By the way, guys, I don't know if it's going to end abruptly without me telling you it's the podcast is ended. It's because my phone overheated, right? So sorry. Because it's very, very hot right now. I need to drink a little bit of water. So, you know what? I don't think I'll have the time to read you this passage. I really suggest you get the book, right? Very, insane. When you're in pain, smile. No, wait. Use laughter, right? Once you have achieved a milestone, immediately set the next one, to keep you focused on moving forward. Because you can stop and you could get depressed until you set the next milestone. Once he's done with a marathon, an insane marathon, and he's injured, he sets immediately the next one. That's what you got to do. Set the next goal immediately. Become the standard. That's how you become a leader without being in the position of a leader. You have a higher standard than anyone else. You don't accept the people's standards or your industry standards. You create your own and push the limits. For example, a guy in a training that David Goggins was doing, the standard was to, for example, in the warm-up, do 10 push-ups, right? And the guy did 25 on the warm-up. And then in the training, he did even more than everything that was required from them, right? And he became the leader. He became the one that, okay, people are comparing themselves to him, not to do the standard, right? He's doing so much more. Everybody respects him, and everybody thinks of him as the real leader. If you do more than anybody else, you'll become the leader. You can't be the follower and do way more than that, way more than anybody else. It doesn't work. You're not the follower there, right? But if you set a higher standard than anybody else, you become the standard. You set for yourself the standard, and so you become the standard, right? And so everybody wants to become as this guy that just does insane things, right? Be prepared and use all information at your disposal to gain an advantage, and show up ready to create the standard and become the leader. Because if you want to become the leader, you want to do more, you need to be prepared. You can't show up not prepared, and because you'll mess it up. You won't be able to have such a high standard because you won't be prepared, right? So actually train, be prepared, always get new information in, always do more, be disciplined, stay on top of your game. Because once you let it down, everything goes down with it. So in the chapter 7, in the evolution, number 7, he asks you, who will you become and what will you stand for? Create your own oath to self. So I'm going to read to you this one, because this one is pretty important. You need to have an oath, make an oath to yourself, because this is the way to have a compass toward your life. Here's the oath of David Goggins. I live with a day one, week one mentality. This mentality is rooted in self-discipline, personal accountability, and humility. While most people stop when they're tired, I stop when I'm done. In a world where mediocrity is often the standard, my life's mission is to become uncommon amongst the uncommon. That's his oath. And then he tells you this. We all owe it to ourselves to stand for something. Principles give us a foundation, solid ground we can trust and build on as we continue to redefine what's possible in our own lives. Sure, some will be put off by your dedication and level of effort. Others will call you obsessed or think that you've gone crazy. When they do, smile and say, I'm not crazy, I'm just not you. Don't rely on some other group's ethos or company's mission statement to be your guide. Don't walk around aimlessly trying to find purpose or fit in. Mine your core principles and come up with your own oath to self. Make sure it is aspirational and that it challenges you to strive and achieve and live by it every day. When everything gets murky and effed up and you feel all alone and misunderstood, revisit your oath to self. It will ground you. At times, you will need to revise your oath given the shifting priorities that arise with life changes, but don't water it down. Make sure it is always strong enough to serve you as your daily compass. As you navigate life and all of its challenges, living by this oath, your oath, you will never need anyone else to lead you. Because no matter what happens, you will never be lost. You have a compass. You have a guiding lines, guiding principles. I think this is very, very useful. I used to not have compass. For example, I was in high school. I was completely clueless as what I wanted to do, as how I wanted to behave. I didn't have any principles. And actually, I didn't have, even in college, really principles. But I had some, at least. And when you get principles and values and you had this direction, and it's much more easy to make decisions, and it's much easier to progress and make forward progress toward your goals and toward the right direction. After that, he tells you on the chapter 8, play until the whistle. Give your 100%. Be flexible and adapt. Circumstances are always changing. Nothing is constant in life. You must deal with what you've got. You're injured. You can only work 6 hours a day, like me right now. Do the most of them, right? It's not because someone can work 12 hours a day and you can't, that it's not worth it for you to actually put 100% in for those 6 hours, right? Give your all, still. Don't use your new circumstances, bad or good, to dial down your level of effort. Very important, especially when you get some amount of success. Maximize, or you get injured. Maximize the resources and capabilities you do have. Stay committed to finding your new benchmarks. It not only keeps your mind engaged, but your demon also at bay. And you also might actually achieve things the old you never could conceive. Don't waste any second if you must study while you're at the airport, just like David Goggins did for his one of his exams. He's studying while traveling. It's like, don't wasting any second. Always going forward toward his goals. Even when he's deeply injured, he has no excuses. He lets himself no excuses. Get yourself pumped up. Imagine the performance you would have given if you keep going. When you want to give up, right? You're at the verge. You tell yourself. He tells himself. Who rides 444 miles 13 weeks after surgery? I do, right? I do. I'm the one that does this crazy thing. Commit and then figure it out. This is a constant thing. Like I need to remind myself always of this. Always in your everyday life, remind yourself of this. You might think of a lot of struggles that are coming ahead. Don't focus on that at first. Focus on committing right now, and then you'll figure it out. Become the best and give 100% at whatever you do. David Goggins at one point works in the hospital. He works 12 hours shifts and just have an hour of to eat, and he just works completely like all in, even in that, right? Evolution number 8, level up and seek out the blue to black line, the line that separates good from great. Don't let your identity and environment, circumstances, what people think of you and your circumstances dictate what your identity and what you can or cannot do. Develop the desire to discover what you are actually capable of and blow past the limits, the human current limitations. When your team is demoralized, bring them back with chance and quick feedback. So I talked about this. I'm not going to go into that right now. I talked about this in the last podcast, I believe, on the doing the impossible and on the book, The Art of Impossible. Very great podcast. I think it could even be more useful to this for you than this one. I read the Art of Impossible before this book, before Never Finished. It was very useful that I did that. I did not plan that, but it was very useful because I saw what are the characteristics of people that do the impossible, and then I noticed them in David Goggins. When you do the hard things, not because you must or have some external motivation like a salary or a bad situation that you want to get out of, but because you want to, or when you're actually self-motivated, then when you do things just because you want to, you're actually self-motivated. You actually do the things because it's your identity. This is what I do. This is who I am. I'm not running from something. I just this is what I do on autopilot. Get motivation from the surprise you cause strangers when they see you do uncommon things, uncommon hard things, and take pride in being the only one who runs at 5 a.m. in the blizzard. That's what he does. I'm not going to do that. Not right now, at least. But, when you see people surprised by your level of action, and also maybe your results, take that in. Use anything that you can as motivation, right? To be a great leader is also to make people around you better in whatever way they need, right? They might need from you that you challenge them, that you listen to them, you spend time with them, or you encourage them. Depending on the person, make the people around you better. That's how you build a great team. And also that people want to be around you because you actually make them better. At some point, you must understand that the failures are just tests, and sometimes you need 2, 3, or even 10 tries to get to your goal. The success is in the perseverance. This is crucial. The success is in the perseverance, because that's what gets you the character of a winner, not the result. So this is what I tell myself, reward and do a positive reinforcement for the tries, the implication, the perseverance and the level of effort and energy that you put into something, not just the result. So, for example, yesterday was my birthday, and I rewarded myself for those 6 past months that I just was all in. I was very focused, even though I didn't get great results tangibly. I was extremely the action that I took was one of the best actions that I was very, very disciplined. I had a very hard diet to follow. I was very disciplined on all things. So I reward that. So I went to eat outside for one. It was the first time. I don't remember even when was the last time I ate out. I became a carnivore, right? Because of I have allergies and immune issues, and I rewarded that. I rewarded the action, the discipline. Reward the action, reward the perseverance, right? And not just the result. I didn't get insane results yet, but I got tremendous action. So I rewarded that. Hope you like this podcast. By the way, tell me what you thought about. And if you're going to read this book, I really suggest you do 300 pages when fast like crazy. If you liked the podcast and enjoyed it, if you got some value, share the show. I want to hear your comments down below on this, if it served you or not. And yeah, subscribe to not miss next episode. I'll see you around. Bye.